Hello students, welcome to the MOOC course on controlled drug delivery system. This is lecture 7 on polymers. This controlled drug delivery system is unit 1 of novel drug delivery system BP 7042. Myself Dr. Chitra Gupta, Associate Professor, Department of Pharmacy, Lloyd Institute of Management and Technology. So, in my last lecture students, we had discussed about what are polymers and what are different types of polymers under the classification of polymers. And we discovered during this entire study of controlled drug delivery that polymers are an important entity that play an important role in performance of controlled drug delivery system. Hence, the selection of polymer is an important criteria while formulating a controlled drug delivery system. So, we will select the polymer depending upon its properties. So, it becomes imperative here that we study the properties of polymers in details. So, today's lecture will be on the study of different properties of the polymers. I have divided these properties under several headings. These are crystallinity, amorphous or glassy state, glass transition temperature, hydrophilic and hydrophobic balance, molecular weight, mechanical properties, viscoelasticity, entanglement, and these properties influence not only the selection of the polymer for particular drug delivery application, but they also directly affect the drug release characteristics from the polymer. So, the first property here is crystallinity. We have studied in chemistry that matter can exist in crystalline as well as amorphous forms. Crystalline forms are basically those forms where the constituting atoms or molecules are held together in a definitive crystal lattice arrangement, whereas amorphous forms, the molecules or constituting atoms are randomly arranged, and due to this random or organized arrangement of constituting atoms or molecules, these substances differ in their physical as well as sometimes chemical properties. Same thing happens with polymers. Polymer chains can exist both in crystalline forms as well as amorphous forms. A given sample of polymer is often a mixture of crystalline and amorphous forms. So, crystallinity basically refers to the degree of crystalline regions present in polymer with respect to amorphous regions. So, higher the degree of crystallinity, higher will be the crystalline nature of the polymers. This influences the alignment of the polymer molecular chains, and this in turn affects the thermal properties of the polymers, the physical properties of the polymers, the chemical properties of the polymers, particularly properties like swelling, mechanical strength, hydrolysis and biodegradation rate are particularly important to us when we decide upon a polymer for making a controlled drug delivery preparations. Now, these properties can be determined by making use of X-ray diffraction technique, that is crystallinity or the extent of crystalline forms, crystalline regions present in a polymer sample can be identified with the help of X-ray diffraction method. A common example to explain the effect of crystallinity on polymer functioning is that drug release rate is higher in polyesters with a low degree of crystallinity, because a low degree of crystallinity will imply a higher proportion of amorphous forms, which will amount to higher macromolecular chain mobility. The amorphous state in polymers is also referred to as the glassy state. When the structure of polymer is irregular and formation of crystals is thermodynamically not feasible, then the polymer acquires a state which is called as glassy state, a solid without a crystalline structure. Just like glass, these amorphous forms are transparent. So, the amorphous state of polymers, just like amorphous state of other matters, they do not have sharp melting points. The crystalline forms of polymers are characterized by their melting points, because their melting point is sharp. They will melt at a particular temperature where the crystal lattice structure breaks down. However, in case of amorphous forms, there is no sharp melting point. Rather, these amorphous forms exhibit softening over a range of temperature, and they are characterized by what is called as the glass transition temperature, or Tg, which is an important characteristics. So, crystalline forms, they are characterized by their melting points, but amorphous forms, they are characterized by their glass transition temperature. That is the temperature at which the polymer transits from a glassy state to a rubbery or soft state. Polymers, depending upon whether they are crystalline or amorphous forms, they will differ in their refractive index as well. For example, amorphous polymers will be transparent, while crystalline polymers will be opaque. Crystalline forms of polymers will be opaque. So, this is another property that will have influence on their applications as well. Going on to the glass transition temperature, it is denoted as Tg. It is basically the temperature at which the polymer transits, the amorphous form of the polymer transits from glassy to rubbery state. Glassy state, as stated earlier, the polymer is in solid state. So, when it transits from solid to rubbery state, that particular temperature is referred to as the glass transition temperature. The glassy state, because it is a solid state, has limited mobility of molecules and has lower diffusion rates in the polymer, whereas the rubbery state has higher mass transfer rates of water and drug molecules throughout the polymer matrix. Thus, from drug release point of view and diffusion point of view, the rubbery states would be preferable. And it would be important that if a polymer is being used inside the body for some say application, controlled drug delivery application, then its glass transition temperature corresponds to the body temperature, where the polymer can transform from a solid to a rubbery state, and hence it can release the drug at the desired rate. This glass transition temperature can be determined by making use of the technique which is called as differential scanning calorimetry. Differential scanning calorimetry. Here I have an example where, by virtue of their properties, crystalline forms and amorphous forms of polymers have been put to different uses. Crystalline forms of polymers have good barrier properties. Barrier properties means that they are impervious or impermeable to atmospheric moisture or oxygen. So, they are useful in coating and packaging applications, particularly in pharmaceuticals, where drugs are to be protected against the deleterious effect of environment. In that case, we either give coating to the drugs, or drugs are packaged in impervious materials, so that their shelf life is improved. So, these crystalline forms are particularly useful in coating and packaging applications due to their barrier properties, due to their impervious properties. Whereas, amorphous forms, due to their diffusion and solubility, as mentioned earlier, amorphous forms have a erratic arrangement of molecules or atoms. So, amorphous forms, due to their diffusion and solubility, they are preferred for making drug release matrices. They can be utilized for controlled drug delivery applications. The next important property of polymers is their hydrophilic hydrophobic balance. Just like in case of drugs, the hydrophilic lipophilic balance is important. For a drug to be significantly absorbed, its partition coefficient is important. Similarly, in case of polymer, because in controlled drug delivery, it is the polymer characteristics which will govern the rate of drug release. So, the hydrophilicity and hydrophobicity of the polymer plays an important role in its drug release. The chemical nature, the structure, the degree of crystallinity within the polymer, all these properties influence the solubility of the polymer. The hydrophobicity of a polymer generally increases with increase in its molecular weight, and hydrophobic polymers release the drug primarily by mechanism of surface erosion. Can you recall surface erosion? Supposing this is a polymer matrix in which the drug has been embedded. Surface erosion means that the drug will be released from the surface only, outer surface only, the drug release will be happening. The matrix will erode at the surface, the inner portion will remain intact. So, the drug release rate would be a function of the surface area which is exposed to the dissolution medium. Whereas, if a polymer has an appropriate balance between hydrophilic and hydrophobic groups, then it can lead to bulk degradation and higher rates of drug release can be obtained. Bulk degradation implies that the polymer matrix will degrade from inside and there will be large pores or channels created and higher rate of drug release can be obtained. So, this is bulk degradation, degradation from interior of the polymer matrix, right. Besides, hydrophilicity and hydrophobicity is also important for drugs depending upon the drug characteristics. Supposing there is a drug which is itself hydrophilic in nature, drug is hydrophilic in nature, it is water attracting and it has got high dissolution rate, high aqueous solubility. So, in order to formulate controlled drug delivery systems for such a drug, you will embed this drug in hydrophobic polymeric matrices to slow down its dissolution and release rate. Contrary to it, if the drug happens to be hydrophobic in nature, in that case to increase the bioavailability of such a drug, we need to make use of hydrophilic matrices so that the drug dissolution is enhanced then. Nevertheless, sometimes it is required that we make copolymers. These copolymers are prepared by mixing hydrophobic and hydrophilic polymers, and they are usually preferred because they will exercise a better control over drug release, because they can be tailor made to the desired drug release rate, they can be designed to get the desired drug release rate. Therefore, copolymers may be preferred. Example is polylacto-co-glycolic acid, which is a copolymer of polylactic acid and polyglycolic acid, and due to the differences in the degradation of these two polymers, the degradation rates of these two polymers are significantly different. By mixing them in different proportions, we can get a polylactic co-glycolic acid with desired degradation rate or desired erosion rate, and we can formulate such systems which will give us the release at the desired rate. Next property of polymers is the molecular weight and polydispersity, again a very important characteristics. Now, a polymer batch may contain polymers with different chain lengths or different molecular weights. This is happening because polymerization process is occurring by chain growth. So, there is no means by which we can limit this chain growth to a particular extent, although by carefully controlling the conditions of polymerization, by adding certain agents into it, we can limit this variability in chain length, but still the variation cannot be ruled out. So, a given sample of polymer will have chains of different lengths and different molecular weights, and this molecular weight of polymers is hence expressed as an average. It is an average molecular weight, not a precise molecular weight, and this average molecular weight is calculated by taking into consideration degree of polymerization and weight of individual monomer unit. Degree of polymerization basically will imply how many monomer units are there in a single chain, and this weight of monomer unit or repeating unit will give you the weight of single unit. So, by multiplying this with the degree of polymerization, supposing a polymer has say 10 monomer units, you will multiply the weight of single monomer unit with 10 to get the average molecular weight of the polymer. So, this average molecular weight of the polymer is usually used to give the weight of a polymer. Moreover, the weight of polymers may be expressed, or this average may be expressed as number weight average or weight average, right. Number average denoted by Mn and weight average denoted by Mw. If a polymer chain of same molecular size, if the polymer has chains of same molecular size, then the number as well as the weight average values will be equal in such a polymer, that is Mn will be equal to Mw, and such polymers are said to be mechanically stronger than a polymer in which the number average and weight average are different. And this leads us to an important concept which is called as polydispersity. Polydispersity, basically polydispersity implies the difference between the weight average value and the number average value of a polymer. Pd is equal to Mw by Mn. Ideally, this Pd value will be equal to 1, that is when the number average and the weight average are equal, this ratio will work out to be 1, and the system will be called as a monodisperse system, which implies simply that chains are of same size, same length, they have got same number of monomeric units, that is why it is called as a monodisperse system. If this polydispersity index is greater than 1, that implies that the weight average is greater than the number average, and the system is called as a polydispersed system. And this simply implies that this sample of polymer has chains of different sizes in it. Ideally, all polymer chains should be equal in size and polydispersity should be 1, and then that would imply a mechanically strong polymer. So, our aim while making polymers should be to minimize the polydispersity. As mentioned here in the first point, that for a mechanically strong polymer, the weight distribution range must be minimized, that is the polydispersity index should be kept near to 1, that is the weight average and number average should be kept equal. The number average can be determined by making use of colligative properties. Colligative properties are those properties which depend upon the number of molecules like osmotic pressure, freezing point depression, etc. So, by making use of colligative properties, we can determine the number average, whereas the weight average of the polymers can be determined using light scattering techniques. So, by these techniques we can determine the number average, weighted average, and from these two averages we can calculate the polydispersity index. Now, this molecular weight of polymer is important because it influences the physical properties of the polymers, such as glass transition temperature, the viscosity of the polymer, the solubility, the mechanical strength, crystallinity and degradation rate. Usually for a high molecular weight polymer, glass transition temperature is high, its viscosity is high, its solubility is poor, its mechanical strength is more, crystallinity and degradation rate are less. Not only this, not only the physico and chemical characteristics, the molecular weight has an important bearing on the in vitro and in vivo functioning of the polymers, particularly when they are formulated or when they are used in controlled drug delivery applications. Here the polymer molecular weight will have a bearing upon the drug release of the system. It will affect the phagocytosis, elimination and biological activity or performance of the system. Usually low molecular weight polymers, they will have high elasticity modulus, that is they will form more porous structures. As a result, they will give more scope for osmotic pressure development and drug release, whereas a high molecular weight polymer having low elasticity modulus will produce non-deformable matrices with lesser number of pores for drug release, and hence will give a slower or less amount of drug release or slow drug release rate. Further, the degradation rate and the elimination. Usually low molecular weight polymers, they degrade at a faster rate, they are readily hydrolyzable and they are easily eliminated from the body. Next are the mechanical properties of the polymer. Mechanical strength of polymer is its ability to resist stress. On application of stress, how much a polymer deforms or resists deformation, that is called as the mechanical strength of the polymer, and it depends upon the structure of the polymer, the molecular weight of the polymer and the intermolecular forces. Structure of the polymer in terms of its linearity or cross linkages. Highly cross linked polymers, they are more stronger as compared to linear chain polymers. Similarly, molecular weight, high molecular weight polymers will have more mechanical strength and they will resist deformation. If we talk of intermolecular forces, again intermolecular forces as they will increase with increase in molecular weight. So, as the intermolecular forces increases, so does the resistance to stress. Structure wise, if we see, flexible polymers can perform better under stretching, whereas rigid polymers are better under compression. The important measures for mechanical strength of polymers are modulus, usually referred to as modulus of elasticity and stiffness. Higher the modulus of elasticity, lesser will be the stiffness of the polymer. So, they have reciprocal relationship. Next is the viscoelasticity or viscoelastic property of the polymers. Polymers are neither purely elastic nor purely fluid materials. That is, they are viscoelastic materials. Like elastic materials, they can store energy in them, whereas like viscous materials, they can dissipate this energy and they can flow. For example, if you take a rubber band in your hand, you apply stress to that rubber band and you try to stretch it. You will stretch it because the rubber is elastic in nature. So, similarly, polymers also, they upon application of stress, they like elastic materials, they will stretch themselves from within and they will store energy. Now, when this applied stress is removed, in case of rubber, the rubber will retract back to its normal position. But in viscoelastic materials like our polymers, the material starts flow. it dissipates energy and it starts flowing, and this particular property is called as the viscoelastic property. So, they are in a glassy or solid or elastic state at a temperature below their glass transition temperature, whereas as the temperature is increased to above their glass transition temperature, they will tend to become fluid. This is an important property in case of amorphous polymers, which are particularly useful in controlled drug delivery applications. Besides this, under long term loading or thermal or mechanical stress, these polymers may soften even below their glass transition temperature, because their intermolecular forces become weaker. If you carefully observe any plastic containers or rubber material at your house, you will see that as that material ages, there is a change in the properties of the material. The rubber material might become sticky. The same rubber, after keeping it for years, it might become sticky or viscous in nature. Similarly, plastic containers, they may become brittle, they may lose their sheen. This is called as the aging effect on polymers. So, same thing happens with these polymers used for controlled drug delivery applications, that upon constant load or long term loading, that is thermal or mechanical stress, they may become softened at a temperature below their glass transition temperature, right. This is happening because of weakening of their intermolecular forces with the process of aging. The viscoelasticity can be measured by two tests, creep test and stress relaxation test. In creep test, the polymer is loaded with certain weight and its deformation is measured, whereas in stress relaxation test, the polymer is first deformed to a certain extent and then its stress relaxation or internal stress is monitored. So, creep value is an important parameter in deciding upon or in selecting a polymer for a particular application. Basically, this signifies the stress strain relationship between the polymer. The last important property is entanglement. Entanglement in Hindi, it will mean उलझना आपस में. So, as the molecular weight of the polymer increases or the polymer branching increases, the polymer chains are more likely to entangle with each other. उलझने के चांसेस ज़्यादा रहते हैं. इसीलिए the result is poor polymer flow either in solid state melt or in solution state. So, polymer melts or solutions of high molecular weight polymers are difficult to handle, right, particularly when they are being used in certain machines or they are to be technically handled. In that case, their handling becomes difficult if they are high molecular weight polymers, because they will have tendency to entangle. Thus, for specific applications, for specific technique to be used, we have to be very careful with the molecular weight and entanglement of the polymer. We need to choose polymers which will not entangle. The weight range should be in that particular zone. So, here I have just listed out a few common polymers with their applications based on their typical properties. The first example is silicon rubber. It is inert with no affinity for any material, that is why it has been used in making implants in biomedical applications. Plastics with impact resistant, weather resistant and solvent resistant have been used in packaging applications. Fibers with high tensile strength, crystalline structures, they are used for making jackets or baskets, etc. And they have got fibers particularly have got high elasticity modulus. Then for adhesives and coatings, we require polymers with tackiness and adhesiveness. Polyvinyl acetates and acrylates are more suitable for this use. As rheology modifiers, polymers need to be hydrophilic and high molecular weight. Gums, Tragacanth gum, acacia, they are more suitable for the purpose. Hydrogels with their hydrophilicity and ability to retain water and with their solubility, they are also quite useful as super absorbents in diapers or as super disintegrants in mouth dissolving tablets and all. So, these are all different applications of polymers based on their different physical properties. So, I think I have made it clear to you that how important the physical properties, the chemical properties, the structure of polymer are there for selecting a polymer, particular polymer for a controlled drug delivery formulation. They will be very important in selecting a appropriate polymer. So, with that, thank you. In our next lecture, we will talk more about the applications of polymers.